evening, everyone. Hey, how is everyone doing on this fine Monday evening? Thank you so much for being here. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Gina. I'm a certified neurotransformative specialist, a certified neurographic arts specialist. And so I do art and coaching for transformation and healing. So welcome to our Monday night live podcast. Tonight, we're going to be talking about CPTSD and sleep disorders, how trauma affects rest and recovery. If you were here last week, the topic that we kind of got into was about sleeping and how having, the after effects of trauma can really affect our sleep. There's several people that attend and, our weekly podcast, and one of the biggest topics that we always talk about, besides fishing and getting out in nature and things like that, is probably about sleep, taking care of our mental health. And, especially when you don't really feel good. I mean, it's not even about, the CPTSD or the PTSD, the sleep disorders, but, when you don't feel good and stuff like that, that takes a toll on your mental health. So good, Scott, your weight loss journey. Good job. So it's good to be here. Trying to get better each and every day. This is going into the fourth week that, Sly and I have not been feeling the greatest. Our energy is kind of depleted. We ended up with the flu, like we shared last week. And then it just went to one thing to another. And then the flu likes to attack people that have asthma. And so unfortunately, it decided to attach itself to my lungs. And so I still have some yucky stuff in there. So I go to the doctor next week to see what's going on and things like that too. So good evening, Michael. Thank you for being here. And so I just thought, with what we talked about last week and things like that, that it would just leading up to this evening, it would just be nice to be able to bring in some more information and maybe some more coping skills, some more things that you can do to help yourself kind of sleep, relax before you go to bed. Because I know myself not being able to sleep, I still am up and down throughout the night. And not being able to sleep is really taking a toll on my mental health. I've noticed that I'm really crabby. And so I don't like to be that way. But when you don't get a lot of rest in recovery, that tends to happen. What ends up happening is our window of tolerance ends up just depleting down. And so one of the things that, let's see if I can find my book. One of the things I do want to share that I think is really important. I moved all of my stuff off my desk. So one of the things that I do want to share with you, what did I do with it? I'm like, what did I do with my books? Okay, hold on a second. This is really important too. And the workbook that I wrote. And so one of the things in here that I do want to take a moment to show you that I think is really important is throughout the day, we have our highs and lows, and sometimes we're relaxed, sometimes we're hypervigilant, meaning, we're always on guard. But what is really important is, are you checking your battery? I'm trying to see if I can get it up there so you guys can see it. Checking your battery. That's a huge thing, for trauma survivors, checking your battery throughout the day. And so your battery goes from positive to negative. So good job, Scott. Congratulations. That's a huge accomplishment. I'm sure you feel better about yourself too and things like that. So on the positive side, it's feeling great, feeling good. And then you start getting to the middle and it's feeling okay, meh, struggling, and empty. And so empty is find out what's draining you and create a boundary. Do one thing that fills you up. And then when you're feeling great, keep meeting your means and practicing self-care. And so as you see, there's things in between, even the meh. How can you love yourself more today? Be extra kind to yourself. And so when our sleep is depleted, because, like I said, it all plays a big factor: trauma, PTSD, CPTSD, other traumatic circumstances and events, ruminating minds, just dysregulated dysregulated nervous systems and things like that. So throughout the day, it's kind of like, how are you currently feeling? Checking your battery, because your window of tolerance could be here. And then, at 8 o'clock, and by 10, it's way down here. Like, you literally have no tolerance to be around people, to talk to people or anything. And so sometimes, when I would get busy in my practice and things like that, I'd talk to people all day. This is what I would be doing, back and forth coaching and things like that. And so at the end of the day, I would not want to talk to anybody. And people would call me and say, hey, and I'd be like, oh, I'm not even answering, like, hello. I was just, this video was like phone calls to me. And so I really wouldn't even want to answer the telephone. Then my friends would be like, hey, it's been 3 weeks since I heard from you. Yeah. Well, when you're on the phone, that's kind of like this, or you're videoing every day for, 3-4 hours, or I'm out here doing other things. Last thing on my mind, unfortunately, I'm sorry, is picking up the phone and talk. That's just something that I'm like, yep, okay. But I really feel like, again, after we talked about some of the things last week and some of the things that we have going on, and nutrition's another huge one. I'm like, where am I going to put that? I'll put it there. Nutrition, sleep, getting out. And I know in the wintertime, it does make it a little bit harder for us to get out and do things, because, you can get out and you can walk and you can warm up and do all of those things. But realistically speaking, some of us, live in areas where we get, lots of snow, feet of snow. And it's like, yeah, no, I'm not. And so then you have to worry about, not really worry, but then you have to come up with alternative things, alternative ways. And so, yeah, kind of figure it out anyway. And so I just thought, again, that the topic was just fitting, considering, a lot of us that are on this podcast, hi Sly, a lot of us, trauma survivors, probably have CPTSD. Not that I'm a doctor, not that I'm diagnosing anybody, but given the fact of what we know about CPTSD and PTSD, and then, coming in with sleep disorders and stuff like that. And so, I don't sleep very good. I'm just going to, kind of start the conversation off and kind of go through some things, and you guys can jump in at any time. I don't sleep very good at night. And so we've talked about this kind of last week. And, I try not to get on my phone before I go to bed, but then a lot of times that's what I'm doing. I'm playing a game, or even if I'm not playing a game, there are times that I'm just reading my Bible. Sorry, I'm a little dry. Reading my Bible and just kind of, meditating on God's word before I go to sleep. But I toss and turn throughout the night. And I'm one of those ones, I have to be covered. So it can be 120 degrees and I'm still going to have a blanket on. And that blanket is my protection. Or so that's what my body thinks that is my protection. As soon as the daylight comes, I can sleep. And so there are times in the morning, if I don't have anything to do, I'll go back to bed for a couple hours, to get a little bit of rest and things like that, because I don't sleep peacefully at night. And so that is attached to all of my traumatic events, circumstances that took place. Most of them took place. I was sleeping and I woke up. So, see, even Sly knows, yeah, you're crazy with the blanket all the time. It's just something that I feel keeps me safe. That's one extra layer of defense that they have to go before they can get to me. So that's in my mind. That's just what I think anyway. And so I cover up so you can't see me. Another thing that I do is, this is just me, is I close, during the day, my windows are open, but at night, there's one window a couple windows in the house, but particularly, like the kitchen window doesn't have a curtain on it. But as soon as it gets dark, all of my curtains are closed and my windows are locked. That's another safety mechanism that I go through. Um, because I figure it this way. I can't see you in the dark, but you can see me in the light, and I'm not taking any chances. So my house is like locked down like Fort Knox probably, and I'm like, "Yep, okay, but I'm safe," or I feel safe. So if these things resonate with you, let me know. Um, we might not even get into the sleep disorders, but it's just, I guess it's more safety. I mean, if that's where this is going tonight, then so be it. But I think it's more about safety, like paying attention to safety, like what makes you safe. When you go to a restaurant, where do you sit? Are you always evaluating where the exits are? Are you the one that sits at the outside of the booth, or are you the one that sits on the inside of the booth? Are you the one that sits at, the end of the table? Or are you the one that sits at the other, at the middle, and things like that? And so that goes back to, it all goes back to safety. It all goes back to trust. So all of this actually goes hand in hand: CPTSD, sleep disorders, trust, safety, and how trauma affects rest and recovery. Because if there's no trust and no safety, chances are you're not going to rest and recover. You're not going to be able to rest while you're sleeping, and stuff. Oh, you're all right. You're all right, Scott. So you're not going to be able to sleep, and you're not going to be able to sleep peacefully uh, if your nervous system is amped up. So, um, it just depends. And so for me, um, I like to be I don't mind sitting in the middle. Um, but I don't like my back out. So I don't like my back facing out because I can't see you, if that makes sense. So yeah. Well, he's so funny. So we were basically talking about safety and trust in sleeping. And for me, going the reason that there's a lot of sleep disorders, not only because of CPTSD, PTSD, it's how our nervous system, like what is your nervous system? Are they fueling the ruminating thinking? And what are things that you do for bed? Well, for me, I have a very soft minky blanket and I love it. And it can be 110 degrees outside or 110 degrees in my bedroom, and I'm covering up with that. Nope, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. My blankets are my first line of defense. That's just me. Like they're my first line of defense. And like I shared, just to kind of give you up to speed, growing up, a lot of my traumatic events and circumstances were at night. And so I would be woke up to a traumatic event or circumstance taking place. And so that to me is just like, that is kind of like the security that I need, like the hug that I need telling me everything's going to be okay. I don't know. Yeah, I know it's more of a mental thing, but you know what? If it works for me, then I'm not going to stop doing it. I've been doing it for years and years and years, for probably my whole entire life, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. I don't use sheets; it's only blankets. So that's just my first line of defense. Actually, my first line of defense is I close my bedroom door. Then my second line of defense is that I cover up with a blanket. So yeah, you come disturb me, you might get the crap beat out of you. So you might not want to do that. But I just thought that it would be, interesting after last week when we were talking about sleep, just to see how, just to give some ways. And so like, have you ever found yourself lying awake at night? Again, unable to quiet your mind just doesn't stop ruminating. And then by the time you go to bed, you have to get up. And then you're like, man, that was just a restless night of sleep. and and stuff. And so there's so many people that this happens to, and it's very common. And so CPTSD, there's a lot of disruptive symptoms when it comes to that. And so I don't know if you know the difference between CPTSD and PTSD. CPTSD is not on the DSM-5, and so technically it's not a diagnosable code. I look for that in the future. Very, very, I don't want to say very soon, but I look in the near future that CPTSD will probably be on the DSM-5. The reason it's not on the DSM-5 is because if they put CPTSD on there, it'll literally wipe out almost every other mental illness on there. The only ones that would probably stay is like schizophrenic, and there, and of course some of the other ones that aren't usually caused by mental health trauma. And so like anxiety, depression, a lot of those different disorders, sleep disorders, a lot of those would be categorized going off of your traumatic events and circumstances, whether you had CPTSD or not. So the difference is a CPTSD is something that's ongoing. And so it can develop after someone experiences prolonged or repeated trauma. It usually occurs early in childhood or ongoing situations like abuse, neglect, or living in a safe environment. And so what ends up happening is you end up having like hypervigilance, which you're like really on edge all the time. Flashbacks, the flashbacks come back as visions. And it comes back as like your body, your nervous system dysregulation, emotional dysregulation. Your emotions are all over the place. One minute you're laughing, the next minute you're crying, the next minute you're screaming. And so what does emotional dysregulation, what does that sound like? If you think about it, you're laughing, you're crying, you're having those highs and lows. 1 minute you're screaming, I don't want to say lunatic, but let's face it, like that would be me, like screaming like a lunatic. The next minute you're like, man, what was I doing? And so if you think about emotional dysregulation and how our emotions are all over the place, like the emotional dysregulation, it kind of resembles borderline personality disorder, bipolar, depression, because we have those highs and lows and those mood outbursts and things like that. So do you see where a lot of people, with CPTSD, a lot of those things, borderline personality disorder, bipolar, depression, those would all be categorized as CPTSD if they do get it passed on the DSM-5. And of course, another thing is the significant sleep disturbances. And one of the biggest symptoms of CPTSD is sleep, not being able to sleep. So it's whether you have trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, you experience nightmares or terrors. And so, if you don't know the difference, I did tell you some of them. They are saying that a lot of the military, again, because PTSD is on the DSM-5, that's what they're saying. But what I have been reading and studying is that the military is they categorize those traumatic circumstances as CPTSD, even though they did not occur in childhood, but it's something that in adulthood that is like kind of ongoing, and usually it happens more than once. And so that's usually the difference. PTSD is usually just something that maybe happened once or twice. But CPTSD is something that's prolonged, something that has been occurring for quite a long time, just to kind of give you the idea of what, of what that is. So let's talk about some serious sleep issues. As we all know, we all have some, something. So when we experience trauma, our brain enters a state of heightened alertness. So when we think of heightened alertness, what comes to mind? So it could be, like your fight or flight. And so that is part of our survival mechanism. That keeps us aware of danger. That keeps us aware of what's going on. And so when you're hypervigilant, and then all of a sudden you have this heightened alertness, and your fight or flight, that's, again, your nervousness, your fight or flight kicks in, you get all that adrenaline dumped. Who can sleep? It's a survival. It's a survival mechanism. So it's like, who can sleep? I mean, I don't know about you, but you can tell when you have fight or flight. You can tell when your adrenaline dumps. And the thing that sucks about when that happens, when you have maybe high anxiety or you have a flashback, or all of a sudden you're watching something, your heart starts palpitating really, really fast, um, and all of a sudden you get like this burst of energy, but you don't move. Well, here's the thing that really sucks about that is because your body's dumping adrenaline and then your cortisol levels shoot up. And so if you're not doing anything to help your anxiety or not even so much, I mean, it is anxiety, it could be, yes. But if you're not doing anything to regulate your nervous system and your emotions, what you're doing is wrecking havoc on your whole entire physiological systems, all your systems, your respiratory, your limbic, your endocrine system, all of that. Because where does the adrenaline and where does the cortisol go back to? So it redeposits back in your body. So if it's redepositing back in your body and you're not doing anything to wear it out, to get rid of it, that's when you have your chronic pain. That's when you start having a lot of your other symptoms, because that's a part of the trapped emotions, the trapped things becoming redeposited. It's kind of like, I don't want to say poisoning your own body, but in a way, that's kind of what's happening. As those things, those chemicals are being redeposited, they're causing more harm than good. And so if that does happen and you're you're at a place or a state that you can get up and maybe walk around your living room, walk outside, that would be something really good, for you to be able to do, just to be able to, to do something like that, which would be really good. Because you're going to burn some of it off. Maybe not all of it, but you'll be able to burn some of it off and get it at least get it out of, get it out of your system somehow, instead of just kind of sitting there and letting it kind of go through and stuff like that there. And so for someone with CPTSD, this alert state doesn't just go away when the threat is over. It lingers and it affects the nervous system, especially when trying to sleep and relax. So have you tried to relax after you ever had your nervous system just kind of went haywire for a little while and became very dysregulated? Have you tried to relax? It's not fun. It's not very fun. I start shaking and I can't like my whole body is just super tense. So do you see why, like how trauma affects sleep? Can you see this? Because remember what I've told you, time and time again, the body keeps the score. So even if you don't remember things, your body remembers those types of things. Your body remembers the things that we've gone through. And so it's looking and saying, okay, how can I better my nervous system? How can I use coping skills to better my nervous system? How can I help regulate my emotions so I'm not so quick to anger. I'm not so quick to get emotional. When this happens, I know how to react off of, having a solid emotional state, stability, than answering or doing things off of my emotions. And so those are, some of the greatest things. And I'm really, even though I've been, doing this for, since, let's see, started in 2021. So almost 4 years. It's one of those things that it's never ending. Just when you think that you've got one coping skill that's working, or one situation under control, your body will start feeling safe enough that it's going to start opening up. And then what's going to happen is you're going to start having other things. But just remember, you already learned the coping skills on how to deal with all of those. So you don't have to worry about, oh my goodness, this is happening, because you will have the coping skills that are needed from the things that you're learning. So if you do have like your mental health toolbox or your, trauma recovery toolbox, your, trauma recovery coping skills, whatever you have, That's what we try to do week after week here is give you more tools to add to your toolbox. And so when you do them and you continue to do them, even when you become triggered and your prefrontal cortex shuts off, um, hopefully those will automatically kick in, that thought will come to your mind. Oh, let me journal. Let me do this. Let me do that. And so that's the goal, is to try to help you as you're navigating through the challenges that you face day after day, whether it's, sleeping, whether it's, emotions, whether it's nervous system, things like that, just to kind of help you as we go forward, because, there's a lot of things in society. We've all been through hell. And so, it's just a matter of, you know, working through the challenges and coming out on the other side, and that's the best thing that we can do. And so all of these lead up to hypervigilance, and hypervigilance is one of the biggest culprits. It means your body stays in a heightened state of alertness even when you're trying to rest. So if you are doing things before bed, you're watching things before bed, listening to things that you shouldn't be before bed, chances are you're probably going to be in a hypervigilant state. And so you really need to unwind before you, like, maybe probably about maybe an hour and a half before you go to bed. You need to start unwinding your brain, unwinding your body, and doing some things to really help you focus on regulating your nervous system enough that you can relax and unwind. So, and things like that. Do we have any questions? Questions, concerns, anything? Because once you can get your emotions, kind of regulated, sometimes it's the emotions that drive the thoughts. It's the emotions that make the brain, or it's the emotions that make it hard for the mind to shut off. So a lot of the ruminating. And a lot of us, we stay busy throughout the day. And so at night when our minds ruminate, it's because we were so busy during the day that we didn't take time to check in with ourselves to see what was going on. And so now we're quiet, and the brain doesn't like that. Now we're quiet. So guess what? Now those thoughts are louder than ever. And so, pay attention, just pay attention throughout the day. If you can, pay attention to what you're listening to, and what are you listening to? What are you watching before bed? Like maybe even throughout the day, like, or a couple hours before bed. So what are you watching? What are you listening to? What type of music do you listen to? Even if you're working and people around you are talking, you may not really be listening to the conversation, but you're hearing. So if you're around people that are negative, even if you're not focused on what they're saying, you're still instilling a lot of that if they're negative or whatever they're saying. If it's negative conversation, or they're talking about some things that could be triggering to you, even though you are trying to not listen. But even the more we ignore, it seems like the more we try to ignore things, the more we just pick up on all of those things. So Scott said, it's one of the things I work on. It's one of the things I work on stilling my mind. Yes. So, it is. And it took me the longest time to realize that I had control of my thoughts, that I had control over my body. And so my body would become dysregulated, and my emotions would be all over the place. And then, of course, that would cause my mind to ruminate. And when that would happen, I would go into severe panic mode, because my mind would tell me things, and it would amp up. It would just amp me up. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, holy mackerel, this is not good. Well, then I just started working on myself more and more and more. And that was one of the reasons that I wrote my workbook, that I wrote this workbook. The workbook's bigger now. It's like almost 200 pages. I redid it again because I added some more things to it. But when I wrote this workbook, it was because I was going through cognitive distortions, and my mind just would not shut off. The catastrophizing was just unbelievable. And And so it was just one of those things. I was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. So as I started, working on myself and things like that, I started noticing a shift. And I started realizing that I have control over my thoughts. I have control over my body. So if you can just remember when those things happen, you just have control over them, and to say it out loud, you don't control me. I'm in control of my thoughts. I'm in control of my mind, body, soul, whatever you'd like to say. Um, and you know, don't let those thoughts control you. That's the biggest thing, because then it allows you to get amped up. So let's talk about some of the sleep disorders and CPTSD. Um, there's a lot that can severely impact your well-being. Insomnia is very common. Um, most people with CPTSD have trouble falling asleep or staying asleep, often because their mind is racing, or they feel physically restless. And then, of course, then you feel like you go to sleep, and then when you wake up, you feel like you haven't slept a bit, and then you feel exhausted, and then, of course, it's and then again the cycle continues of where is your battery, because you can't find peace enough to sleep. And so when you wake up and then you're like, I'm not well rested, and then what ends up happening, it takes a toll on your mental health. Then you start being a bear, and then you start being crabby, and then it takes a toll on your whole family. Again, I know, because I have not been able to sleep about the last 3 or 4 weeks. And it's really taking a toll on me. And I'm like, oh my golly, I just want to go to sleep. And things like that too. So I'm just like, oh, this is just crazy. I can't wait, for to get outside and do different things, and to be able to enjoy the weather, go for walks and things like that too. I'm a very outdoorsy person, and things like that too. So I love being outdoors. Nightmares and night terrors. Are anybody here that have those? So a lot of times they're trauma related memories that surface during sleep. So, it could be a vivid nightmare, and all of a sudden you wake up in a panic. They can leave you emotionally drained, and even reinforce feelings of fear and helplessness. And so those are, I want to say that that's probably the worst part of CPTSD is really having those vivid nightmares, the flashbacks in our sleep. And why that happens a lot of times is because of what we're watching, what we're listening to, what's being instilled in us throughout the day. And, and that's why I'm a big stickler when it comes to what you're watching and stuff like that. What are you listening to? And that's why, I have decided, and I think I shared this with you, not to get off topic, but just to here it's still mental health and trauma. It's about understanding trauma, mental health, bringing in things like the CPTSD and sleep disorders, and kind of helping you along the journey. But in my main practice that I'm doing, I actually am getting out of doing trauma work. I'm still working with you, but what I want to be able to do is do more of the art of transformation. So using art and coaching to transform, and focus more on the art and the coaching aspect in it all at once, or I'm sorry, all together, than to focus more on the trauma recovery. And here's why. What I've noticed over the last 3 years of working with clients and things like that, I was at a place that, I'm healing. It's a continuous journey of healing. But what I found is that as I'm working with clients, there are times, just the same with therapy, there are times that it actually sets us back in our recovery. And so it's leaving that door open of repetitive, what I want to say, like reliving, repetitive. So reliving everything over and over again. So it was like I would have a client, we would talk about trauma, talk about the past, blah, blah, blah. Well, then boom, it would bring up memories of my past and my trauma, then it would set me back. Even though I have the coping skills, but I felt like it would set me back. So I felt like every time I would move forward, I would have setbacks because of the talking portion of the trauma recovery. And so I'm very artistic. I love to draw. I love to create. I create workbooks. I create all kinds of things. Art has always been huge for me ever since I was little. Art. I can't draw worth a darn, but I love art. I love art, and I love neurographic. And so what I have decided is I will still do one-on-one, but it won't just be your typical talking. It'll be art, because of the way that the art taps into the subconscious and starts actually healing and repairing the neural pathways. And that's what we need. So, so I bring that up because why I bring that up is because if you're constantly living in your trauma, if you're constantly being triggered, if somebody's constantly talking about traumatic events, circumstances, and things like that, chances are it's going to keep you in that ruminating cycle. You're going to end up having vivid nightmares or flashbacks or nightmares, terrors, whatever, because that's your body's way of trying to get it out. So then again, you become emotionally drained, and then you reinforce feelings of fear and helplessness. And so again, it's just a cycle. Boop, 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 boop. It's like, oh man. Yeah, your nightmare. Okay, let me see. I got to see. So Scott, I don't know. You guys are talking about the military a little bit here. Need to learn the military sleeping drill on how to shut your mind off to fall asleep in like 3 minutes or less. Yeah, well, that would be nice. I don't know. Well, they do kind of work you a lot. So I mean, they're probably exhausted, probably sleep deprived, eat deprived, nutrition deprived. I mean, so they're like, I'm out. And Sly says, my nightmare is just going to sleep and staying asleep. Don't let him fool you, because there's a lot of times he's snoring and I want to just put a pillow over his head and tell him to shut up. Oh, golly, a little bit of Amish green corn. I can sleep 3 or 4 hours at a time. Well, there you go. Get you some Amish green corn. And so, again, just really making sure that you're paying attention throughout the day, even if you have to write it down. Or, what are you doing afterwards? What are you doing to unwind? What are you doing to get rid of all of the negative energy that's housing you? What are you doing? You know what I mean? And things like that. And so, I'm trying to think, like the guided meditation is a huge one, progressive muscle relaxation. So, we'll talk more about those as we go on, but there's so many different things that you can do. Excuse me. So, it's really working on yourself, really working on you, really working on yourself, and trying to look at, how you can instill different things into you. So again, so you can sleep. And it is, the ruminating, do about 50 jumping jacks, Scott. You'll be able to go to sleep in no time, buddy. Be all right. So now that we looked at the different types of sleep disorders, let's look at the impact on poor sleep, like the impact on poor sleep on CPTSD. Because poor sleep impacts CPTSD recovery. And if you're not sleeping, again, like I said, if you're not sleeping, it's really going to worsen your symptoms of CPTSD, your mental health. When you're not getting enough sleep, you're likely to experience heightened emotional sensitivity, making it harder to manage your emotional responses. Again, you're going to be more irritable. Your anxiety is going to be through the roof. Your emotional activity is going to be like it's going to be, or your emotional reactivity. You're not going to have any energy. You're just going to feel blah. And so it's really taking care of yourself, listening to your body, listening to what it needs. So many of us just want to go, 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 go. But with CPTSD, you have to rest. You really do have to rest. It's just one of those things that it takes a toll on your body, and you really have to make sure that that you are resting. And so when we don't sleep, it takes a toll on our cognitive function. So it makes it harder to process and manage trauma related memories. And of course, as we know, sleep plays a huge role in emotional processing, especially during REM sleeping. And so, if you don't know what REM sleeping is where you are in your deep sleep. It's where you're really sleeping. Oh, well, that's good. You're 10 pounds away. So that's really good. But see, if you did some jumping jacks, you might lose a couple more pounds and then you'll be a couple more pounds closer to your goal. Um, so and you know, in your REM sleep, when you're getting that deep sleep, that's vital for working through complex emotions. So if you're only sleeping for a couple hours, chances are you're not getting your full REM sleep. So there are ways that you can check when you are in REM sleeping. Some of those I believe you could do. I know that's fun. Yep. You know, hey, you never know. You can get. Sometimes they have devices. I believe you can stick like under your mattress or like a mat or something that might. I think it goes under your sheet. And what it does is it actually it can tell if you know how long you're in REM sleep. When you go into REM sleep, and they know by the way that your body relaxes. It's interesting. So it knows by the way that your body relaxes. So it goes by when you fall asleep, when you're in REM sleep, how long you were in REM sleep. And so that's what it monitors all of that. If you have a sleep number bed, you can look at your numbers and it'll monitor that. Some people, I believe, if you have like the Apple Watch or Android Watch, it may even be on there as well. Um, and so that might be something that you can look into as well, just to kind of see where you are in your REM sleeping. Because again, if you're not getting the proper REM sleep, it's really what ends up happening is everything that you're trying to do, your healing process, your sleep, it becomes hindered because again, your energy is depleted. You feel bullet because you're not sleeping a lot. You know, and some people, even if you can, you know, catch a nap for a couple hours, you know, you might have to sleep for a couple hours. People that have CPTSD, our bodies get drained pretty quickly, and so we have to rest a little bit more. And so give yourself a little bit of grace if you need to sit for a few minutes longer, or anything like that. If you need some energy ideas, I can just message me and I can let you know what I do for energy because my energy gets really depleted. But I use some things that actually help increase my energy, and it helps with it gives you energy. Let me just tell you. So um, I lost 63 pounds in 4.5 months, and it's natural. It's a healthy thing. So I'm not just trying to say, but it was something that helped me, and and I loved it. So it's really good. I love it. It gives me energy, and things like that. So um, and then don't forget, chronic sleep problems can lead to physical health issues too, like a weakened immune system, increased risk of heart disease, higher stress levels, all of which further can also increase your mental health struggles as well. So that's why we really need to make sure that we're working on getting you the adequate sleep that you need, and working on those relaxation skills, and really helping you. So, what some strategies for better sleep and recovery? So, this is where you'll probably want to grab your pen, paper, notebook, mascara, lipstick, whatever you have, Sharpie, crayons, pencils, colored pencils. I don't even care, uh, and kind of write down some of the strategies for better sleep and recovery because these should be added to your toolbox. You may even want to start a notebook that says, like strategies, recovery strategies, healing strategies, holistic alternatives. I don't know. So then you have an idea of some things that you can do, so you can improve sleep while navigating CPTSD. And so first, creating a trauma sensitive sleep environment is crucial. So what you want to do is you want to make your bedroom calm, a relaxing space. And so this might mean like having reduced noise and light, keeping the room cool, having a comfortable bed that feels soft and cozy. It may be having maybe some like some relaxation music. Some people like to listen to water. Some people like to listen to a piano. Very, very low to set the mood as far as, going in and hearing hearing it, so you can be more relaxed. Essential oils. I use essential oils in my diffuser, and not all the time, but sometimes I do. And I used to do lavender in mine. Couldn't figure out why I was sleeping all the time. It's like, man, that's because I'm using lavender on my diffuser. Holy mackerel. But lavender, a couple drops in a diffuser. And what it does is that sets the mood for relaxation, because you're actually breathing in the oils, the molecules that are released through the diffuser, and you're actually releasing it. It releases into the air and you're breathing them in. So it promotes relaxation as well. Try to establish a consistent routine for bed. So going to bed and going to bed and waking up at the same time every day. And what this does is it helps regulate your body's natural work-sleep cycle. So I know sometimes on the weekends, if we're not working, we do like to sleep in a little bit, and that's okay. But it's all about consistency. It's all about consistency. When your body starts having a consistent routine, whether it's a sleep routine or whatever other routine, it starts getting in the routine. It just starts getting I can't even think of the word. I'm sorry, but it just starts getting in that cycle of everything. And so, you're building that routine, and what it starts doing is your body's like, oh, wait a minute, 9 o'clock, time to get up. So even with me, Charles's alarm goes off at 6, and there's times I get up and I'll take the kids, or he'll take the kids, and sometimes I go back to bed. But I try to get up, and that gives me probably about 5 hours of sleep. But there are times that I'm like, oh, I'm just going to lay here and go back to bed. So I will stay up until probably 9. So I'm up from about 6 to 9. And then I'll lay back down and I'll sleep till about 11. So realistically speaking, that seems like it's a long time, but it's not. So if you think about it, I'm only getting 7 hours of sleep. So, and it's broken sleep. But again, since I've been sick, I have not been sleeping the greatest. But I'll get back there. And it's okay. Grounding techniques before bed are incredibly helpful. So, the 5-finger breathing, the 5-finger deep breathing, and that's where you put your fingers up, and you start on the outside. And when you go up, you inhale through your nose. Don't go fast, just, slow. And then as you go down, you exhale out your nose. And why it's important to inhale and exhale through your nose is because, hopefully you can breathe through your nose, is because your nose is what activates the parasympathetic, and the parasympathetic is what's responsible for rest and digest. And so we're trying to put you in a state of relaxation. Same thing if you go to the chiropractor, when they adjust you, that's the parasympathetic. And so they're putting you back into rest and digest. And so it's breathing in and out through your nose, and, slowly. If you breathe in and out through your mouth, you take the chance of activating your sympathetic nervous system, which is actually responsible for like the hypervigilance and the energy activation. And so we don't want to activate that. We want to activate through your nose, the relaxation portion of things. Progressive muscle relaxation. So progressive muscle relaxation, if you can search on the internet, you can message me, and I will send you the paper that I have. If you have a copy of my book, it's actually in my book, and here, and it actually tells you exactly what to do, how to do it, and so basically what it is you can start with your toes. You can start, yeah, I would recommend starting with your toes actually. And so you just take your toes and you squeeze them as tight as you can for 10 seconds, and then you slowly release. And so then you go from your toes to your feet, probably your feet and toes you do together, your calves, your thighs, your buttocks, your stomach. You'll do your shoulders and your back. You'll do your face, do your hands. And so what it does is it actually starts working on the tension and the stress that you carry in your body. It starts releasing it. So usually it doesn't take very long, probably 5 minutes or so to probably get it done. If you noticed after you do it and you notice, man, some of my body's tense still, you can go back and do those areas that are still tense. And you can do them up to 3 times. You can actually hold them for longer than 10 seconds. If you want to hold them for 20 seconds and release, you can. Hold them for 10 seconds or do it 3 times your body. You can do that as well. But progressive muscle relaxation is a huge relaxation tool, a huge grounding tool that you can use to, again, it helps with stress. It helps with tension. And just really relaxes your whole entire body. I would highly recommend that when you do it, you either do it laying in bed or you do it on a chair that has arms. The first time that I did it, I didn't do it on a chair that had arms, and I almost fell off my chair. That's how relaxed I was. So just be cautious when you're doing them because they can make you relaxed. Mindful meditation. Mindful meditation is when you are listening, excuse me, you're being mindful. So you're listening to you're being mindful of meditation, whatever you're meditating on. And what that does is it calms your nervous system before sleep. So mindful meditation is kind of like guided meditation. Guided meditation is, a lot of times you put headphones on, or you can just lay in bed and listen to it quietly. And it kind of takes you on this story or this journey of relaxation. You're on a sandy beach, laying in a hammock. The sun is on your face. You feel a light breeze. You can hear the water, the waves on the water. You can smell something. And it just kind of takes you on this journey. And as you're listening and things, it'll say, make sure that you're breathe in and out of your nose. It'll say, hey, do you notice any tension in your body? Try to relax that part of your body as you're listening. If you feel your mind wandering, you'll want to come back to center, and the center would be listening to the voice. And so whether you're doing deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, the 5-finger breathing technique, the mindful meditation, guided meditation. Another thing is the trauma-informed movement. That's another huge technique that you can do. That's actually not real. It is a grounding technique, but the trauma-informed movement is more for trauma survivors who have a lot of it's to help their prefrontal cortex be re-engaged. Trauma survivors, our prefrontal cortex is probably offline, and so we act out of impulse. We act out of emotions instead of in a thriving mode. We're acting more in survival, more in a trauma self, more than adult self. So when you do those trauma-informed movements, what it's doing is it's actually repairing the prefrontal cortex that has been damaged or offline from the circumstances and events that we've endured. Scott, this is right up your alley. Journaling or writing a brain dump before bed can release any racing thoughts and worries so they don't keep you awake. I know Scott's one of the ones that he loves to journal. And so journaling or writing a brain dump. So brain dump means anything that's coming to your mind. It doesn't matter if it's good, bad, if you're throwing out cuss words, doesn't even matter. What you're doing is your brain dump. You are brain dumping. You can brain dump for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Literally what you want to do is you literally want to write down every single thing that's coming to your mind. Everything. And that's a part of brain dumping. And so when you brain dump, again, you're releasing the racing thoughts and the worries. And so they always say, if you can release what's up here on paper and throw it away. A lot of times I encourage my clients to throw it away because you don't want to go back and read it, because now you're just reinstilling exactly what you just undid. So I would highly recommend that you throw them away to, and physically, show yourself crinkling up the paper and throwing it away. That is a huge advantage, because it's you visually looking as you're throwing that paper away that has all the brain dump and things on there. And then additionally, practicing good sleep hygiene is important. So before you go to bed, you'll want to avoid caffeine, nicotine, alcohol close to bedtime, because as we all know, those do interfere with sleep. And then, limit screen time to at least an hour before bed. And then, blue light from devices can actually disrupt your sleep cycle. So make sure that you're taking all of the precautions that you can, to try to promote a healthy, trauma-sensitive sleep environment so you can actually get a good night's sleep. And so if you wake up in the middle of the night and after you've been sleeping, you wake up in the middle of the night, go back through and try doing progressive muscle relaxation. Maybe do a little bit of the deep breathing. Maybe try sitting and meditating on the word. And in my book, there's actually something that's actually, pretty cool. And let me see if I can find it really quick. And so this is something, let me do this with you guys, but there's so many different things that you can do. But I do want to read this one because it's actually pretty, if I can find it really quick. Because, the mind is powerful. Like, it's super duper powerful, in anything and everything that we do. And so I could start talking about, I think this is it. So I could start talking about an orange, and I don't know. I was thinking I still had it in here. I may have gotten rid of it. But I was like, I think I have it in here. So, I could start talking about an orange, and then all of a sudden, the more I start talking about it, and I start talking about this and that and the orange, and before you know it, you will actually start being able to taste the orange in your mouth. And so it's just kind of an amazing thing. I thought maybe I had it in here because that was the one I was going to read. When you do that's fine. When you kind of do, some of the things. So be more active. Get up and move 30 minutes or more a day. Do a 10-minute dance party 3 times a day to move your entire body. I love dance party. So, it's about being active and things like that. Again, bedtime routines, consistent sleep schedules, managing your stressors, soothing sounds, your eating, your environment, sleeping, all those types of things. Yeah, I was going to read that one to you about the orange, but I don't. Oh, here it is. So, this is just to show you what I like about this. Is just interesting. It's an exercise. This exercise is a language game that shows how meaning attaches to and detaches from words. And so basically it's like, if you say the word orange, and you say it and say it and say it, obviously your eyes would be closed. And then I tell you that imagine you are peeling an orange, feel the texture of the peel, then imagine peeling the slices apart. Smell the amazing aroma of orange filling the scent of the room. Smell the orange and take a bite. Stay connected here until it becomes clear in your thought processes. At this point, you most likely have the taste of orange inside your mouth, even though you haven't even taken a bite. Your mind is so powerful that it can use attributes to create images in the mind, and backwards as well. It can turn attributes like the word orange into imaginary sense imprints. So why I read that is because when you're doing like your mindfulness meditation and you're meditating on different things, a word or whatever, pay attention to how it sits with your body, because the mind is very, very powerful. And again, these types of things, this exercise is called orange, orange, orange. And what this does is it teaches, some sort of mindfulness, but it teaches you that you have control of your mind, but just shows you how powerful the mind is. You could use banana, you could use whatever, but just to kind of give you an idea of how those work. The mind is very powerful, and it's, up to us. So, all right. So any questions? Any questions? And just remember to be compassionate with yourself, and just understand that, we didn't get this way overnight. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get back, we'll never go back to where we were, but, to kind of help us unwind. Tell her I said goodnight and I love her as well. It's going to take us time. Healing and recovery takes time. So it's about consistency. It's about having self-compassion, and things like that. And, and making sure that you're taking care of yourself, self-care, nutrition, trying to promote better sleep. What are you doing for all of these types of things and stuff like that too? Any questions? Questions, concerns? Anything else? Hopefully you learned, something, to add to your toolbox tonight, things like that too. And, and how to really promote a good night's sleep, because the world has enough crabby people. We don't need to be any more crabby. So we don't need no crabbiness in the world. So you guys all getting excited? Because I know I have a bunch of fishing fanatics. Guys all getting excited to, I think daylight savings is coming pretty soon. I want to say it's this weekend, but I don't know if it's this weekend or not. When I took my son to school this morning to the bus stop, to ride him down to the bus stop, at 7:00, I was like, holy mackerel, it's light out, and usually it was dark. So I was just like, oh my goodness, this is good. So at least it's starting to get lighter earlier and stay lighter longer. So thank you, Scott. So Scott said, always learn here, Gina, is helpful. Thank you for that feedback. And so, pretty soon, guys, we'll be able to get out on the water. Well, you guys will be. I'm not. I'll fish from the shore, from the bank. You guys can. And, and stuff like that too. So, get out there and fish and get out in nature, and things like that too. And, really have the benefits of being outside and the benefits of things and stuff like that too. I'm hoping that, sorry, my nose is driving me nuts. It's just getting dry. I'm really hoping that I know Gramps had said something to Sly when he gets back from Texas. He's going to have me on his live for his mental health. And I think they're waiting for Jeremy to get Wi-Fi. But I think it's important for people to understand why fishing works. coming from the mental health side of things. What is it about fishing? And, why does fishing work? Why does being in nature work? Because you guys can sit there and say, oh, fishing is good for me. But do you really understand why it's good for you? I mean, do you understand that aspect of it? You can tell people, oh, this, and this, but do you really understand why? Um, I like that. Scott's new mantra. Melt, I melt. Oh, exactly. And things like that too. And so I'm excited to be able to, get on his podcast and share some of the knowledge that I have as far as why fishing is so beneficial, and really helping other people get out there, and whether you kayak fish, you fish from the bank, whatever you're doing, but it's just a matter of getting outside, getting outside in nature, getting outside and doing things. And I think that's a huge thing. And things like that is really trying to get people outside and connect them to the outdoors. Even if they're not fishing, but at least connect them to the outdoors, and get them out there somehow, whether they're walking in the woods, hiking, whatever. But it's really getting them out. Nature has so many healing properties. Just stopping for a minute and listening to the birds, listening to the bugs. It's those types of things you don't realize, but as you're doing that, you're actually building mindfulness. You're being mindful of what's around you, and things. And so one thing that I want to work on, this year for myself in the fishing, and I can feel things, but I think one of the things that where I really probably wasn't too mindful when it comes to fishing is the sensitivity in my fingertips. Yes, when I'm fishing, when you're reeling it in and things like that, and the Evo or whatever I was using, you can feel the vibration. But I want to be able to feel, to be mindful and feel the sensations in my fingertips as I'm holding the rod, when I catch a fish. And I think I was so amped up last year that I didn't catch a fish, that I just let those emotions take over. And I'm like, I'm not gonna catch a fish. And so I just kind of let that, or set that guard up. And then I just wasn't able to catch a fish all season, and things like that. So this year I'm interested in really, going to different places and fishing, and really seeing, what I can get on the board and stuff like that too. And try my best. That's all I can do. And things like that too. I'm one of those ones. I love being outdoors. I wish that they would have, I wish they would start like a women's, kind of like, I don't really want to say, I mean, it could be fishing, but any type of outdoor activities for women, and things like that too. I'm hoping there'll be more things around here for, for those types of things and stuff like that. Because I really believe connecting to nature, being outdoors, and things like that really have a lot of healing properties and things like that too. So I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. As always, week after week, I love it. And one thing I do want to say is, if you found the episode valuable, if you'll please share it to those who it might benefit. And then obviously don't forget, I'm sure all of you are subscribed, but don't forget to subscribe for more episodes as we continue on this mental health and trauma recovery. And then make sure that you're taking care of yourselves. That's a huge thing too. Huge. Oh, absolutely, Michael. Just being out there, it is a win. And I think that's a lot of the problem with a lot of people, whether it's trauma survivors, veterans. I'm just going to say them, even though they are trauma survivors, but I think that's a lot of it, is that their anxiety, their ruminating, cognitive distortions, their intrusive thoughts take over. And unfortunately, they don't want to leave the house. But if you could just leave the house and see the benefits of being outdoors, and things like that, and just, just sitting in the outdoors, um, is absolutely amazing. Yeah, I seen that about Cairo. I seen that. And there's a lady here um, that does it, but she's actually doing a retreat. Um, they do a retreat every year. It's over in Salina, which is near us. But she does a 3-day camping. It's all women, all trauma survivors. They do camping, fishing. Um, I don't even know. There's a bunch of other things. Um, they do um, bows and arrows, guns, so archery. Um, and then they have other things that they do. I shouted it out, but uh, hopefully, um, and stuff. Well, I thought about going, but then that's the weekend of Nick's birthday. So, I mean, I could probably go, but that's the weekend of his birthday. So I told her I might go like Friday evening or Saturday, because this is like the second or third year that I've been invited, and every weekend it falls on our son's birthday. So, but I would like to go. I just think it would be something to sit around, share inspirational stories and things like that. But nonetheless, I love how kayak bass fishing has brought us all together. It brought you all together, and that's how we're all the fishing family, and all of that stuff. I just absolutely love how, from Gramps and all of that stuff. I love how that kind of spread out and things like that. It's absolutely amazing, and so, that's my goal here, and so. To start reaching more people. I'm trying to figure out all of this algorithm stuff and all these keyword things, and eventually I'll get it. I think I'm going to try to start going live maybe a couple days a week. I'll still do my Mondays a couple days, maybe an afternoon, and draw and things like that too. And so, and see, but that is one thing I do want to share with you all too, is if you get a chance, I'm going to put it up here. Art of, da, 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 da. Here is my new website. It's called artoftransformation.life. It's pretty, I have pretty much everything on there. Go take a look. You'll learn about Neurographica. Cooper E., thank you so much. I love this and thankful for this channel. We'll be continuing live to stay in the loop. Thank you. I do my lives every Monday, 7:30ish. Is what I will continue to do. When summer comes, we'll see. We'll kind of probably obviously I'm still going to do my lives, but I probably will be out and about doing them and things like that, depending on the weather and stuff like that too, and really getting out there, showing some nature videos, fishing and things like that too. The things that my husband and I love to do, and things like that too. And yep. So here is the website. Again, I would love, you're more than welcome. You can email me. But here, if you go to artoftransformation.life, there had on my new website, loads of information of what neurographics are, the benefits of them. I have classes for adults and teens. And then what I would like to start doing is periodically I will start drawing on YouTube. I'm trying to figure out, when, so I can be consistent. I know it's about consistency and things like that too. And so I'm more about helping, the mental health and trauma industry, or the individuals, I should say, that have had mental health and trauma. As a trauma survivor, if you go back, if you go back, yeah, I will be live from a kayak. Wouldn't that? I'll be hanging on to the rocks at the bank. No, I'm willing to give it a try eventually. And my story's on there. I'm a childhood trauma survivor, adult abuse survivor. So there's a lot of things on there about me that you will learn. And so I started using art almost a year ago. It'll be a year in May that I started using neurographic art. I went on to become a specialist and things like that. So you'll learn about my certifications, learn about what neurographic art is, how it reprograms, repairs, and rewires the subconscious. Absolutely amazing. And so if go on there, check it out. We have a fundraiser that'll be coming up. That's coming up in May. So that's some of that's on there. I don't think all of it's on there, but there are some things that are on there as well. We'll be doing a fundraiser on there as well. So there's all kinds of wonderful things on there. I will get the rest of my materials on there eventually. My book will be on there. I have other workbooks that I have created that'll be on there as well. So it's a work in progress, but that's where you can find a lot of the information. It's not complete. So when you get on there and maybe things may look a little unorganized, just kind of bear with me. I'm trying to get things, on there and stuff. But for 4 weeks, I've been sick. So I can only go out there and really do, today I had a full day in today trying to get things done. But I think it looks pretty good. So, go on there, artoftransformation.life, and, go on there, look around, and there may be a class, that you'd be interested in taking a workshop, that you'd be willing, or that you'd be interested in taking and things like that too. So, and as always, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. You can email me through YouTube. My email's there, or, on my website, you can feel free to email me from there as well. So if we don't have any other questions or anything like that, I truly appreciate each and every one of you for being here, spending your Monday evening with me. I appreciate it. If there's any topics that you would like me to discuss, anything like that, as always, then you think you're going to get that XTR. Yeah, see, so you're going to give me your old kayak, and then you're going to get a new one. I'm catching on now, see? And stuff. Yeah, see? I don't know. So you shouldn't have that other one that we had. We should have just kept it. Then maybe I could have put it in the swimming pool and at least practiced for a while. So and things like that too. So, well, yep, it's all right. So, next Monday, we will be here again, 7:30 Eastern, with another mental health and trauma topic. And as always, if there's any topics or anything you want to dive deep into, just let me know. I'm open to suggestions always. And because, when it comes to mental health and trauma, there are so many topics. There's so many topics to dive deep into. And so sometimes I'm like, I don't even know what to talk about. Sometimes we just get on here and we talk about the great outdoors, and we talk about fishing, and we talk about hiking and walking and just being outdoors and and things like that too. And so that's okay. Sometimes we just have open discussions, and that's okay too. It's about being seen, being heard, and and knowing that you matter no matter what. And so there's week after week that we have guests. I will start getting some more guests on here as well. So it's not just me on here talking every week. I'll start getting some guests and stuff on here too. And I think that's really good too, when we can start learning from other people and really picking up some things. So again, I appreciate each and every one of you. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you have not already. If you could share out this podcast, I would appreciate it, because again, you never know when in fact you will share it to somebody else that really needs to really see it. So I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your week, and a blessed week. And again, if you need anything, you know how to get a hold of us, a hold of me, a hold of Sly, and things like that. So I'll be checking in next week just to see if you guys have followed any of the suggestions that I've given you. So have a good night. And I will see most of you over at Mainstream here shortly. Good night, everyone. Have a good week.